Having a faceless brand is quite a fad right now, but AJ Vaden, who is an expert in personal branding, wants to share with you the risks of not having a personal brand and assuming a faceless brand. There's so many people now that are going, I'm going to build a faceless Instagram account. I just want and I have admittedly done this. Like, I just want to build a business that I can hide behind, that nobody knows it's me, just a faceless business. And I think there's a personal desire for that because the online space requires so much. It feels like it requires so much energy. It feels like it requires so much. And people really struggle between authenticity and transparency, which are two very different things. They equate to them. And then they feel like they have to share everything online, which is not true. But there becomes this struggle. And then people get onto this craze, which we're seeing right now as we record this, of just like, I'm going to build a faceless Instagram account or a TikTok account and make my millions. So, seeing what you've seen with the data, does that make sense to you? What are your thoughts on that?
No, and I don't want to be too rude. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. It truly, when it comes to actually doing something that's worthwhile and that's worth your time and investment and something that's worth more than just $1 in your banking account. And that's something that I think is really important of why people are loyal to brands is because it's not faceless. It's because they do know what it's about and who's behind it. And I liken this a lot to the crypto fall that happened just a couple of years ago. It's like this faceless industry and it just like was growing, poof, right? And I had many friends who lost millions with this faceless industry of thinking this was a better way and then being like, oh, maybe I should have reconsidered some of those things and not to liken it too much. But I do think it's a really important thing for people to understand the difference between doing something for ego and vanity versus doing something for purpose and mission. And in my world, anyways, at Brand Builders Group and how we see personal branding, it's an extension of your purpose, right? When you think about being identified with something and being likened to something, it's going like, what's my legacy? Like, what do I want to be known for? And if you just, get a little into life for a second, it's like if you just sped ahead and you're on your deathbed and it's your last day on this earth, and you look around and you go, what do I want people to say at my eulogy? What do I want to be remembered for? What do I want to be known for doing? And being known, it's like, maybe that's just you and your creator. Maybe it's just you and your family, but what is it that you want to look back on and go, that's what I gave my life to. And I am proud of that. And would you really want to be proud of having a faceless company that shares no real values, no real beliefs, stands for nothing transparently because you're hiding behind a faceless account? I don't think so. I don't. And I think this is a fad. It's not a trend. I think personal branding is a trend, not a fad. And I think we're going to see lots of fads that come and go, and some stay longer than others. And in my opinion, this is a direct result of something that has been pushed so ego hard and so vanity driven by just, the fake followers and all the things. I think this is just the pendulum swinging way to the left and it'll settle right back in the middle, which is sometimes a necessity to get things normalized. And at the same token, anyone who is building a personal brand for the point of vanity or followers, it's like, that's not a personal brand, right? That is for selfish ambition and pride and ego. And I'm not saying I don't have those things. I definitely suffer from those things. I'm a human being. And recognizing you do not have to have millions of followers to make millions of dollars in business. And you do not have to have a massive business to make a massive impact, right? We can do that with one customer. We can do that with a following of 10. And that's putting the heart back into some of this that's gotten lost. That happens digitally because your personal brand and your reputation are not just online. They are equally, if not more important, offline. And I can go back and look at the way that we've started our company and, Brand Builders Group, although we've been at this for 20 years, Brand Builders Group as an actual entity has only been alive, right? I think we're still like a toddler as a company, but 5.5 years. And when we started this company in 2018, and it was in the middle of a crisis, and I got so gloriously and unexpectedly fired. And in the wake of that chaos, in the wake of that crisis, this company was born because of an offline relationship that we had with a friend, not a good friend at the time, just a friend, Lewis Howes, who had a really well-known podcast and a really trusted audience that he had been growing and nurturing for, at that point, over a decade. And because we had an offline relationship with him with no business ties, we were able to help him do something that he was looking at doing. And then because he trusted us in an offline, not an online relationship, not because we had websites and podcasts and email lists and social, we actually had none of those things, right? Like when we started Brand Builders Group, we had forfeited and turned over our social media accounts. We had lost our email list. We had lost our podcast. We had no website. We were literally in the middle of a crisis. And he said, "Yeah, this is why this happened. Like you're meant to do this. And if you can't see it, I'm telling you, this is what you're meant to do. This is why this is happening. Let me help. Like, let me introduce your new company to my audience." And we are going, "We don't have a new company. What are you talking about? Like, we were just helping you in our basement." It goes, "No, no, no, no. You do. Let me tell people about it." And that is how we started our company. We launched our company on his podcast with an unstylized landing page that had a picture of me and my husband and an orange button that said request a call here. How is that? Right? And it was not pretty. It was not designed. We had no website, no podcast, no email list, and no social. And that's how we started our company. And that unstylized landing page, because Lewis had built a very long-standing face forward, not faceless relationship with people who knew him, liked him, and trusted him, who tuned into him, who knew what he looked like, knew what he stood for, knew what he believed in, because he talked about it openly and transparently week after week after week for decades. Then, because of that, he was able to extend that to us. And now that one podcast episode, it generated 1,000 leads. 1,000 people clicked that lame orange button and said, "If he says you're trustworthy, I believe it." And they scheduled a call. That's how our company started. And so the whole idea that we would do something faceless is crazy to me.